Great panic before Liberation Day. Germany has decided on an absolute crypto ban, and additionally, the markets are pumping. Wait, what's going on today? So I would say let's go into all the details and all the news and fake news in detail and see each other. After the intro, now new from Trade and VIP Trading, your opportunity to copy the signals of 2 professional traders for free. They managed to build an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your bank account. You can find all further information below in the description. So let's start briefly with the crypto heat map. We can already note here that everything is green today. Bitcoin is leading. There was a bit of an upswing. We will also take a quick look at the traditional markets shortly. But even if you look at Ethereum, XRP, BNB, Solana, and so on. So nothing exaggerated, but at least significantly better than what we experienced in the past few days. With the spot ETFs, it looks a bit different. The last 2 days there were sell-offs, however. If you now look at the other series and don't even have triple-digit million amounts in sales. So I would lean back a bit for now, but it should be kept in view. But I think this is now so the holding position to wait for tomorrow first. And then the inflows could come if you also take a look at the historical returns. We had a month end, so one might say, well, with Bitcoin, we all imagined it a bit differently. We are not in the worst quarter now, but by far not in the best either. So let's just check that off for now. With Ethereum, it looks even wilder. So we were only about 1 to 2% short, and then we would have been in the worst quarter ever since the beginning. So, yes, Ethereum. I don't even want to philosophize about a possible altcoin season anymore. A lot can still happen there. At this point, once again, many thanks for your support. Yesterday's video, almost 2,000 clicks, 118 likes. If we break the 200 mark today, that would be really cool. Because if you want to support my hours of research, my work, and help push this channel a bit, you can do so very easily by leaving a free like here. And if you're now asking yourself, Daniel is nice and friendly, I'm seeing the first video now, what do you actually do? This is about crypto news. Honestly, fact-based, neutral, transparent, without hype, plus a daily trading setup. If you're interested in that, feel free to leave a free subscription now and activate the bell. Then you too can become an uptrender. A warm welcome to all the newcomers. And now let's continue. I attribute the current upswing in crypto quite clearly to the NASDAQ and of course also the S&P 500. I also made a post about this here yesterday. So by the way, if you never want to miss such top current updates, feel free to follow me on X. Very simple, uptrend info. Or check the description, the link is there. But as you can see here, there was an upswing in the traditional market, and that immediately affected Bitcoin, or rather, also partially reflected on the altcoins. However, one must still say here, we are still in the critical zone. So this was exactly the testing of the bottom. We are not out of the woods yet. And as you can now notice, I'll get to that in a moment. Everyone is being quite cautious. What could happen tomorrow? Personally, I don't see it as so fatal, but I'll get to that shortly. I've just pulled out this report for you. Everyone is in a waiting position because Trump announced something on Liberation Day. New tariffs could possibly be announced. Or whatever. And that could logically trigger a pretty negative chain reaction. Let's just take a look at the past. So with every event that people were eagerly anticipating, whether bullish or bearish, what exactly happened in the end? Nothing at all, because the market had already priced it in. That means now, again, I don't want to say jump into the market because everyone is waiting and nothing will happen tomorrow. No, I don't want to hear the haters on that. However, I strongly believe that the market is already priced in and is therefore in a cautious stance. But there are also market makers who like to take advantage of such situations when relevant news comes out to push the price back down nicely. So, I would be quite cautious right now. Short trades, a bit of scalping, yes, all fine. So, I will also get to the trading setup, of course. However, now regarding this area, I can't quite imagine that since it was announced so much in advance, there will suddenly be such massive news that we completely tank. But let's better wait and see. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I also have some news about SUI. So the chart looks pretty good right now. Now we should be a bit cautious because token unlock size are happening today. And that's not a small amount. Therefore, if you're planning an investment, I might suggest waiting. Of course, it could also be that everything will be held. But as I said, such token unlocks are, well, inflationary, and from experience, to some extent, it can lead to a sell-off or to selling pressure, which in turn can negatively impact the chart. And then let's move on to a topic where I thought, okay, all right. So here is a breaking news. There is a Bitcoin ban that has been decided that crypto, the structural exit in Germany, causes a stir in coalition negotiations. Okay, then I read through this report. So, there are apparently several insider reports here that couldn't be linked or named somehow. And based on this, regarding the coalition negotiations, there would be a... And I went further on the search for you because such a topic, I mean, that is so massive and especially so generally formulated. Because what is the Bitcoin ban about? So is it about Bitcoin as such? Is it about mining or whatever? But there must be more reports on this. Then I actually found another one. And here it says, yes, it has indeed been decided. Bitcoin and all related cryptocurrencies are to be banned by the end of the year at the latest, according to a well-informed insider. Well, again, no name included. For me, this is not expressed as politically correct as a politician would, in my opinion, but all right. Then there is talk about climate goals. That is the reason. Now, we are talking about the Bitcoin network. So, all in all, I'd say I kept searching further and further, and I could practically find nothing. There is no official source as such. So clearly, one could say Börse.de is reputable, I would say, but all right. Maybe it's not, but regarding all larger media outlets, I couldn't find anything about it. So I will continue to follow this whole thing. Feel free to write in the comments what your opinion is, whether you think it's realistic or more like we just published an article because we couldn't find anything better. I would be very interested in your opinion on this. Feel free to write it down below. And now directly on to the trading setup. By the way, I use BingX here. Maybe you know it? Reputable exchange. If you're interested in trading without KYC, you can check the description. The registration link is there. I negotiated it for you plus an additional deposit bonus. If you deposit $100, you get $25 credited to your futures account. And if you deposit $500, then even $80. This channel is managed by others and I show it to you completely neutrally. I currently have an open position with ADA. If you look here, yes, it's still in the negative. However, yesterday I found a great entry, for example. And that's pretty cool with BingX, as you can see here. Here I bought more, which allowed me to lower my average purchase price again. And now we'll just wait and see. It already looks quite good that it will continue to go up here. Yes, there are still a few highs that need to be broken through. But now we'll take a complete look at everything on TradingViewer. Or rather, we'll start here with the heat map. And yes, it doesn't look bad at all now. So Bitcoin is on the rise here. Now one might say, yes, up here a bit has accumulated, which indeed shines brighter. However, that's also the case down here. So, yes, without making any predictions, which means we're back there. You're so negative. No, I'm just looking at how the chart appears in some form. What the market might recognize as attractive could indeed be this zone down here, although we are now also looking at the 2-week view. Perhaps now the traders will take action and it might move into the upper areas. What exactly determines whether it goes up or down? Logically, the news. Let's take a look at Bitcoin on the 1-hour view. And here, you can see this support area, which I have deliberately drawn longer. It has now at least been breached here. Now we have here, just immediately the next zone that becomes relevant. So we can take a closer look here to see it. Let's take another quick look at the 15 minutes view. In any case, we have at least already climbed to the next level upwards here. It could also be that it goes like this, where we are rejected here once again, and it continues downwards. Are we really manage it? That we advance into this support area, especially here, there was indeed some movement. Yes, we will see. But all in all, Bitcoin is already presenting a much better picture than it did yesterday. Here again, briefly, the 15-minute view, we have higher highs, higher lows. That looks quite good so far, but please also keep an eye on the RSI. It is quite possible that it will cool down again soon, which is also logical to some extent. A kind of retest here because it only went upwards. And that we might first see a brief pullback here and then it continues upwards. At least that's how I could imagine it now. Moving on to Ethereum, also on the 1-hour view. So here you can also see the RSI climbing quite a bit upwards. By the way, the chart itself as well, which is good. Of course, Bitcoin follows suit, and I have deliberately extended this line, extended this support area here. So you can see it again in the old videos. It was cut off here before, now it's longer on purpose, and you can see how it all fits together again. We almost had a touch here. Then the rejection downwards, so to speak. There was no rejection, no touch. Here there was really the touch, rejection downwards, and then exactly the retest was tested again. On the line, consolidation, and then it shot upwards. And now we are here. The next support area should be up here, around 1909, 1910, give or take. This could become an exciting zone again. And if things go well with Bitcoin, then it's quite conceivable that if we break through here, it will continue upwards. Further look at XRP. Yes, I understood from the comments yesterday. So feel free to always give me feedback. I didn't mention it yesterday because the times were and are quite volatile, so I decided to wait. I will of course catch up on that today and include it in the coming days because if you're keen on trading, it makes sense to talk about it. You can see now, through this rapid increase here, a lot of liquidity has logically formed down here. Why? Because many have now gone over leveraged long again. Maybe you were able to ride this entire uptrend here. In any case, there is now a certain risk that there might be a pullback down here. That was just the daily view. However, one should also note here, when looking at the weekly view, there is also above us. Logically a lot, so you can see here again an interesting liquidation area was picked up again. Otherwise, it's relatively mixed, whether it goes up or down. We will find out when we look at the traditional markets or Bitcoin. If we briefly look at the hourly chart, it's like walking a tightrope. It's just crazy. We are now roughly back at our symmetrical triangle. There was initially a breakout downwards. And hey folks, well, what a surprise considering that sometimes I hear, yeah, what I draw doesn't fit at all. It's pretty wild that the support held exactly here and it continued upwards. Then, however, the rejection here again. Then it went downwards, so we can also zoom in closer here. Zoom in so you can see it. And now, fortunately, we have the breakthrough back into the symmetrical triangle. But we are definitely not completely out of the woods yet. Logically, we are still in the lower area here. The hope, of course, would be that if it continues upwards, we would hit this support up here. Possibly break through it. Then it could really get wild. I was just about to wrap up. However, I noticed something else with Solana. possibly a pretty exciting entry. So you see liquidity was nicely fished here again. There's still a bit up here, but what's mainly there is down here. And yes, so everything is currently positive. The uptrend E could indeed be interesting if this zone is targeted again. And therefore, if you now consider, okay, I place a limit order here for a long position, or I speculate that it will go down again anyway and just take a short trade here, then you can definitely consider that. That should be it for today. At this point, I'm curious. Feel free to write in the comments which tokens and coins I should include more in the chart analysis. And otherwise, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a free like. Finally, I can give you the tip to check out this video. I'm pretty sure you are not aware that certain stable coins can be blocked on all wallets. So not just on any central exchanges, but for example on MetaMask and others. So on hosted wallets or even on your hardware wallet. You should definitely check it out. I've shown you a few alternatives to it otherwise. We'll see each other tomorrow in the next video. Until then, all the best. Ciao.